So that's firing up. There we go. Got some confirmation. Just a small side note, I am having the worst hair day out of all my live streaming. I have no clue what's going on with it. I could absolutely not tame it today. But oh well, maybe I'll luck out in other ways that don't involve hair, right? So Bitcoin has been hitting some pretty hard resistance lately. There are options contracts closing today that could give us a little bit of buying power. That we also had a lot of movement of Bitcoin off exchange, which is a bullish sign for us. So even though Bitcoin has resisted, it's something that we could see finally break this that we have right now in the resistance. So right now we have a little bit of a pennant formation, and it is skewed to the upside a little bit. So let me see if I can zoom in there. There we go. I'll put a couple drawings on here for you. Helps if I actually click the line. There we go. And for some reason, it's popping up over here. Okay. So we have from that bottom point. There we go. Nice little flagpole going on here. And then I actually got a wire finally to go along with my drawing tools. I just need to switch out one of my cables. The ports that I have on my computer don't necessarily allow for the same kind of drawing that I would like. There we go. Let's extend that a little bit. So hopefully I can use my pen the way that I would like to. So we have this little pennant formation coming this way, and we could easily break to the downside. That could totally happen. Resistance could hold for us and knock us back down. We are trading up above the 50-day, so that can act as an area of support for us. Really want to push on to that 200-day. And if we do break to the upside, we could find those areas of resistance around 42-ish thousand and then up to about 44,000 for Bitcoin. So I don't know if that price action will come out soon, but it's going to be an interesting day, interesting couple of days to watch and see how this formation plays out over time. If it's going to be something that plays out well for us, or if it's going to be something that that ends up, well, at least for the bulls out there. For the bears out there, it could still be something that would break to the downside. But we do have a lot of bullish signals, not only in the chart patterns here, but also in the moving the coins off the exchange, also the options expiration, waiting for the last minute to exercise the call options that are out there, which I think are set around 35,000. There's I think that was called the max pain level. So we'll see. We could have a little bit of discount buying happening. So we'll watch that take place, and we'll see how it goes. We have about 2 minutes left. And good morning, Bill, and good morning, Polly, and happy Friday to you both. So let's check in with Amazon. There we go. Amazon reporting their earnings. Let's go 30 minutes. There we go. So we can see intraday. They reported their earnings, and you can see the results of them reporting their earnings. Their earnings overall were not too bad. They did have a miss on sales, so that's why we see the drop that we do in the after hours, and why we see that little bit of sideways trading in the pre-market hours. So even though the earnings report itself is pretty good, it's still a question of, are they running out of steam, or that growth momentum that they had coming out of the pandemic? And you can see when you look at the RSI on the 30-minute chart that we went deeply into the oversold territory, and then since recovering a little bit, but still reporting oversold as per the 30 minutes that we have. And when we look at it on the daily chart, we got just over a minute to the market opens here. 33, where is it trading at right now? Pre-market, there you go, 3,300. So all the way down here. So that actually drops us below the 50-day. That's this blue line that we have right here on top, drops us below the 50-day, and takes us all the way down below this little support that we have right here. So we have a lot of room to run down on Amazon. We'll look left a little bit further. There you go. It drops us more back down to this level that we saw back here in April. And so we'll see what that sort of recovery is like. We could see a little bit of overselling when that takes place. And we'll see if we have any updated analyst estimates for Amazon moving forward. All right. We have, looks like, about 20 seconds here until the stock market opens. And let's grab this and drag it over. There you go. One more. Perfect. And then we'll move that out of the way. All right, so there we go. Stock market should be open for us, and let's click on percent change and see what's moving for us. Charge point actually up a little bit. Oh, it already moved on me. Let me actually go here. There we go. It's opening up a little bit from yesterday's close, coming up off of this support line that we have drawn in here, and we'll see how good that bounces. And what we want to see is we want to see this come up and at least touch upon resistance here, so we at least know where that top price is. If it falls short of that, if it's a little bit weaker on that, then we know that we're still selling off a little bit. And then we just want this horizontal support line here around $22 to $23. We want that to hold in the meantime for us for charge point moving forward. If not, we could get a significant price drop off that. Really, we're looking for the earnings, which I'm going to have to look up the earnings date for charge point to tell us more about the strength that we're getting from that. Who's got ETH not falling below 2,000? Absolutely, yeah. Let me see. And also Brook, TGIF. Long weekend starts at noon for me. Happy Civic Day, Canada. Yeah, hey, congratulations and enjoy your long weekend. That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read up what Civic Day is. But yeah, anytime you get that long weekend, Brooke, that I hope that you get a chance to really capitalize on that and just get out there and enjoy yourself a little. All right, so let me go over to tip ranks here. We'll take a look at Ethereum, Bill. Just give me a little bit here at the market open, then I'll circle back to crypto. I had a cat just join me in the room. Come here, buddy. Come here. He doesn't want to come over. He's shy. He's if those of you who are fans of Stockmo, he's not quite like Tesla Cat, who runs right up and gets in the camera or anything. He'll meow his head off though, so you might hear him throughout the broadcast. All right, so let me look along. And Amazon, there we go. Woo! All right, so we have a lot of analyst updates coming out of yesterday. So 40% upside, 22, 22, 34, 26, there we go. So we still have significant upside. So average analyst estimate right now, and a huge amount of them have been updated. Still about a 26, almost 27%. But they're just switched again on us. Almost 27%. From where it currently resides. So for a huge company like Amazon, when the price drops like this, you are de-risking quite a bit if it's one that you plan to buy into. So even though they had that sort of weakness as far as forward guidance goes, like how do they grow from here would be that sort of question. So they still have that upside. They still are growing, but it's the rate of growth that they're experiencing. And moving forward into Q3, Q4, so to finish up the second half of 2021, that's something that we're keeping our eyes on. So Pinterest will drop by them because they pre-market were down like 20% from yesterday's close. So we have quite a few updates on the analyst estimates there. So hold rating, still a fair amount of upside, but so maybe those results that we got for the people who are bullish on Pinterest, maybe this is good news for you, and maybe it's a buying opportunity in dollar cost averaging. I do not have a position in Pinterest, but they did take it on the chin yesterday. So let's go to the chart and look at Pinterest. Yeah, so wow, look at that. Let me zoom out so we can see. Look at that gap down. So right there, a little tiny candle, almost taking us back to where we were in May. So when we had peak sell-off with the tech and high growth and everything, they dropped significantly below that. So let's see if we can get a little bit of a summary about the reports. Downgrade in price, Q2 earnings, revenue estimates. Top's Q2 earnings and revenue estimates, so it must have been their guidance from there that caused them to drop as hard as they did. I'm trying to think if it was Pinterest or PayPal that I was reading about. Let's go. There we go. Let's drop by Seeking Alpha, and usually we get a decent summary coming up on here. So the cliff notes, if you will, for that sort of price action. There we go. And that should be just a moment. It'll be popping up here. And Nvidia falls as China later. Okay, there we go. So we'll go back to the charts while that's loading up. That way we don't waste a whole lot of time just looking at that part of it. So far we have out of these, a lot of these stocks that you see here are growth stocks. And it doesn't look like we have too bad of an open compared to what we saw in the pre-market. There's a lot of red in the pre-market. And, you know, when Amazon, as big as it is, reports less than favorable earnings, at least as far as forward guidance goes, or shows signs of a slowdown, that can take some steam out of the NASDAQ sales. And that's why the NASDAQ futures were down as much as they were this morning. It was not pretty as far as the futures were concerned. We'll have to take a look and see where that is right now. All right, so Pinterest. There you go. We don't want that one. There we go. Yeah, monthly active users fell quite a bit from where it was at, although the money that they're bringing in is still good. So that slowdown that they have right here, I couldn't remember if I was looking. I looked at a bunch of different companies this morning. There's PayPal, Pinterest, Amazon. Just reading through the different things. And yeah, there you can see they lost, what's that, about 30 million of those global monthly active users. So I'm sorry, they failed to meet consensus, I should say. They did raise, but it wasn't, it was 30 million short of where they wanted it to be. So that's something to watch. US monthly active users fell 5%, while international rose 13%. Okay, and then drops that. So they had a beat on non-GAAP, a beat on GAAP, a beat on revenue. So it's funny to see all these beats come through. And when you see those signs of the slowdown come in, or that they failed to meet that consensus for how many monthly active users they should have, that signal of slowed growth is something that can take out some of the fundamental value. And then we get that drop that we see in the chart here on WEBULL. I just zoomed in on way too quickly. But yeah, we'll see from there. Let me see. We got the RSI rocking about 30. Being this low, some of that shock value coming out. Like I said, people who are long on Pinterest could look at this as a buying opportunity. You know, if they are bullish, if they believe that this will continue to do well and continue to grow from here, that it is just one of those shocking moments, then we should get a bounce out of it. We have a lot of action actually taking place right now. Lots of, let me see if I can get that price wall right around $60 per share. It looks like we're getting a lot of buy side support, and it seems to just keep on melting away a lot of the every time the selling pressure builds. So let's go down to the 5-minute chart and see how it's doing. All right, so on the 5-minute chart, how's the volume there? 11, almost 12 million, followed by almost pushing on to 3 million as this next 5 minutes of the stock market open plays out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this have a decent green candle by the end of the day, assuming that the market doesn't really do anything surprising overall. I think that we'll see a bit of strength come back to Pinterest with that gap down that we have. And if support holds, typically we tend to fill gaps in the charts. So we'll see how that plays out for them. All right. I told Bill that I would check out ETH. So the thing is, I have the Bitcoin chart here, and the Ethereum chart will have some of the same characteristics. Sometimes I do silly things like going back out to the home page instead of just searching for ETH directly. It would be one jump instead of two. I'll take this opportunity to take a sip of coffee. So with Ethereum, and since you mentioned about it not falling below $2,000, there is the idea of market timing, and the fact that market timing is a very difficult thing to do. And even if we want it to drop below 2,000, and for dollar cost averaging purposes, the fact that I do like to buy when it's a bit lower, I really want it to. I am bullish on Ethereum. It's my favorite in the entire crypto space. So if I say something that sounds negative, you know, it could be a risk factor or something, but I'm by no means dogging Ethereum in any way, because I think that it's a champion being built. So like I said, it's sort of similar to what we had with Bitcoin. And after all these green days, after all this run up, to see a little bit of a rest, it's natural to see that. We could find out that we bump up against resistance right around 2,400, and it tumbles back down for a while. And we'll see how it performs from there. If it manages to stay up above these previous lows that we had, you know, that's good confirmation for us that we're starting to turn things around, especially if we start to get higher lows followed by higher highs. Even if we get like a wedge pattern forming out of this, where it's skewed to the top, sort of horizontal across the top, that could be significant buying pressure and bullish momentum. So back to trying to time the markets. So buying small positions over time for any security really that has a good fundamental outlook, good long-term outlook, is typically one of the better strategies that you can have, is to just keep on adding on small positions at regular intervals. And if you find yourself at a moment of opportunity, certainly seizing that moment of opportunity can be a very good thing. So the opportunity might come where it drops below 2,000. If so, for me, below 2,000, I would buy a little bit heavier than I would above 2,000. So above 2,000 would be, you know, a regular dollar cost average, just a little bit of spending to add to my position, because I do believe that this will take off significantly over time as ETH 2.0 really starts to evolve over the next 12 to 18 months. We'll really see that play out. Don't forget that on Wednesday we have the London hard fork hitting, and I think people seeing that base fee burned will be sort of exciting, and also you know, kind of nauseating to see you know, what equates to dollars just kind of like just get burned up and gone. And I think that'll be incredible to watch those metrics play out over time. And depending on how quickly we get, or how high that base fee goes, how much transacting we get through the Ethereum network, you know, if that goes up high enough that it really starts to burn off a lot of ETH because you get expensive base fees, you know, that's something that could really affect the inflation rate that we have for Ethereum. I don't think it's the biggest catalyst, but I think it's a decent catalyst. I think that's going to cause us to see some upward pressure on this. So there's 32 people trying to help out. Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate it. So yeah, with the price action that we have here, for me, I just recently bought a lot more when it was below 2,000. So watching this rest for a little bit after this run up, if I get the chance, I'll buy a little bit more. And if it doesn't seem to go anywhere, then you know, for me, I might add on just a little bit as just regularly adding to my position for Ethereum moving forward from here. We could also see, depending on what sort of congestion we get in the network, if we ever see anything like we did back in May, for example, those layer 2 scaling solutions that we have, Polygon being my favorite out of those. Lots of adoption going on for Polygon, lots of really cool things going on for Polygon. You know, we could see a lot more strength coming to them as well. PayPal, by the way, is talking DeFi and interest rates, like to actually earn interest through the PayPal service. They've actually had some pretty cool with their Q2 report coming out, talking about getting more heavily into the crypto space, into the DeFi space. So watching that play out is good news for the crypto space overall, because it legitimizes it more and more. And then a lot of that, the negativity that I think people are starting to shrug off finally, that it's a currency for crime, we'll call it. I think some of that's starting to fall away and starting to subside, and people are acknowledging, and when I say people, I should say companies, businesses, governments are acknowledging the legitimacy and the potential of the crypto space, even if it's not an embrace yet. All right. So let's see what else we got here. We'll check in with our friend Lucid. All right. So Lucid, where did they open up at here? They opened just below $23, and now they're pushing back up to almost $24. And I've said before, I expect this to bounce in the low 20s. And I think it was Jim Cramer. I was reading some of the headlines and stuff from some of the things that he said. And he does talk about Lucid being a little bit rich right now. And I would say, given the excitement for it and the forward outlook, the fundamentals of Lucid, I would say that the low to mid 20s would be about correct, where we see that sort of bounce around there. Dipping below $20 per share, I think, is something that we wouldn't see for very long. And if we go out to the daily chart and we look at what it took to take Lucid under $20, my goodness. I turned up the sensitivity of my touchpad because it was taking me too long to scroll across the large monitor that I present on for you guys. So with that comes a little bit of my lack of coordination. So just bear with me here. So let me see. We had lots of sell-off that took us down. Where's $20? $20 is right there. I'll zoom out a little bit more. So it took considerable selling pressure to take us under $20 per share. And then let me see, at the peak of it, we went down to $17.25. And then once some of that came off, we immediately started trading just below 20, started resisting at 20. Then when we broke resistance, we finally get this sort of volatility. And if we average it out, that's where I have that line at that 24.42. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this early on that sort of caps us off for right now. But like I said, production and deliveries, I think that'll change things around for us. A lot of sell side pressure showing up for Lucid in the short term here. End of 2021, mid to high 20s. Maybe we'll even touch that $30 mark. We're just going to have to see how things play out for the company and how they rotate through the semiconductor shortage, how their orders go, if they're able to produce as much as they plan to produce, and if their orders hold strong, we should be in good shape. All right, let's check in with some of our EV plays outside of that. So let's check out NIO, because they've had a little bit of trouble with all the stuff coming out of China. And looks like they're getting close to those mid 40s again. So they were doing quite well. They started coming back at the end of May, breaking up over the 200-day, which is still positively sloped. Same thing for 50-day. And we have this nice little narrowing between the moving averages. If we get that golden cross coming, that could be a really nice bullish confirmation for us. And we had the biggest sell-off day recently would be, let me see, I think that was Tuesday, the 27th. So yeah, that checks out. That was Tuesday. Tuesday the 27th is when we had that big sell-off with a lot of drama coming out of the news about the Chinese government and the restrictions that they're placing on companies. I think NIO is going to find themselves in the safety zone from all that. I don't think that they're going to be under the same scrutiny that some of the other companies have. I believe they're a dual listed company where they trade both in China on the Chinese exchanges and also on the New York Stock Exchange. And they are all government backed. So it'd be almost like a conflict of interest to be backed by the government and penalized by the government at the same time. So I think that they're going to be rooting for NIO to be one of their champions and a mark of pride for China as a country. So that's all speculation on my part, but I believe that to be the case so far. So I stay bullish on NIO, and I think that we're going to recover these back up above. I think we're going to break resistance, and then we'll trade above again in those mid 40s, maybe even up to high 40s. We'll have to see how Q3 goes. By the way, we're at the last day of the first month of Q3. So it's been a really good month for our growth stocks, and we'll see how it finishes off. It looks like we did peak. Actually, I guess June was the great month, and July was okay. We'll call it that. But we did not come back down to the lows that we had before. It's just a different environment than it was going in from Q1 into Q2. All right. Let's take a look at Tesla. CRISPR. Yeah. So Tesla, I had this little wedge pattern drawn on here for you. I said that we could break to either side. And you can see yesterday it sat on support, and then it broke to the upside. And now we're continuing to break upward from there. Excellent news for Tesla moving forward. Currently trading almost at $680 per share. And we'll see. Let me see, where does that put us? So this could easily turn into a double top resist for us. So we'll have to watch that. The volume yesterday was good. So that green candle coming out on good volume, as long as we continue to have that sort of volume coming out of Tesla, we could be in really good shape in the near term for them. So let's go to CRISPR, since that was mentioned by Angelito. Hello, Angelito. There we go. So a very similar chart to what we saw with NIO, with that run up that we had from May into there we go. They topped out at July the 2nd, I think, whereas this is June 30th sell off and then a bit of a recovery. They're trading below the moving averages, but we have positive slope. It is going a little bit flat on us, so we'll have to see how that turns around for us. Big thing here is whether or not we're going to break resistance as we turn things around. If it's going to turn into an actual reversal that will continue, will break out from this little sell-off period that we had here. It did fail to break resistance of the 200-day back on July the 22nd. So CRISPR, let me see. CRISPR Therapeutics, tops Q2 earnings and revenue estimates. Excellent. So what does that turn into for their analyst estimates? All right. So currently trading at a price of 121.50. I just like to check to see that my price here isn't bugging. So we're good. It's matched up on what we have on WEBULL. 6 buys and 1 sell and 1 hold. So from yesterday, we get a buy from, oh my goodness. I am so terrible with names. Gula Livshitz or something. I wish, that's one thing I love about talking to people face to face, is they can correct me on the names, and then even though I continue to butcher them because I'm just not great at pronouncing different things, at least then they know I'm trying. But to anybody who I say your name and I get it wrong, believe me that I'm trying. All right, 2 days ago, William Blair just said buy. Truist Financial 220. Wow, that's a huge upside from where it's at right now. So CRISPR, their technology, I believe, was key in a lot of the different innovations that they made over time. I think was key for Pfizer and maybe Moderna. I'd have to go back and look into that. I'm just trying to remember the different pieces of information that I just talked about with people. It's nothing that I really spent a lot of time reading on. But if you're looking for somebody in the genomic space that would be top dog, CRISPR is definitely one of those ones that you want to have. ARK Invest, they were hugely bullish on it. I haven't looked at their purchases for CRISPR recently, or their sales for that matter. However, healthcare, genomic space, this is one that got pushed down significantly over time. And it's good that they had some positive earnings coming out of that. And I think that the genomic space itself is still in its infancy, and a lot of its potential has yet to be realized. There we go. So good day for CRISPR so far. What do the analyst estimates say here? So the nice thing is, and I like to look at, I like this graphic for the chart because I like to see how it's trading compared to the analyst estimates. Not trading too richly. This says 20 analysts on here. So I wonder if on tip ranks we had a lot of older ones that we weren't seeing. No, we got a lot of them. Just we have a lot of really old analyst estimates. The more recent ones still look to be bullish from its current price action, and they look to be at or above where we had them for those older ones. So it'd be nice to watch as this plays out, as the analyst, if they come out and they update where they believe they're going to find CRISPR in the next 12 months. It'd be nice to see that come out, and that could be something that we see over the next few days. All right. Let me see who else we have here. Talk about Tesla. We'll check in with SoFi. Oh, there we go. SoFi just under $16 per share. Like I said, trading sideways with SoFi. Absolutely awesome just to see it establish a base of support. The more support holds, the better position we're in risk-wise. And, the less that we really have to be worried that the stock price is just going to bottom out. So that $14 to $15 is about that area of support that we're looking at. we're not trading too much above that. So not too bad. We need some sort of catalyst to push us up, back up in that positive direction and that bullish direction. And RSI wise, we're coming up off those lows. So we're building in strength, but we're still in bearish territory. We need this next piece of the RSI to push higher than we were before. And that could help signal that there's a change in momentum that's going to occur. So I had to watch that over time. Microvision, this is one. Wow, it's really holding its price. I don't know if it's the popularity that holds this up. I don't know if there's still pre-production that they're looking for somebody to manufacture their product. But this is one I caught it. I think around, I want to say like $8 a share or so, and I watched it go up to maybe, I'm going off my memory here, maybe like 10 or so in very short order. It was right around here, because no sooner did I sell it than the next day. Was it that day? Let me see, the high price 9. Yeah, I think if I went back and looked, I bet you it would be February the 4th, because after that it took off and went up over $20 a share. And you know, watching it where I could have almost tripled my money, but I feel like I made the right call, because when it jumped about 25% from where I currently had it, and it took a day to do it, I was like, wow, that's up a lot really fast. So I exited my position. It was a little swing play in the first place. So it's been a while since I read up on Microvision. I should read up on them and see where their progress is. I did like the sound of their product, and it sounded like, you know, as far as I believe their LiDAR play. Let me see, profile. Yeah, okay, laser beam scanning, they call it. So automotive LiDAR is also there. Okay. Yeah. Sounds like they have great potential. At this point in time, I believe that it's still potential that we're riding on. So this is going to move along with those growth stocks. And we'll have to watch for big company news come out of them for strength. All right. No problem, Angelito. ETH. So this will move with the price action of Ethereum. And I saw what you said about Nvidia. I'll get to those in just a second. So right around 2143. We'll see if Ethereum breaks its resistance, then Ethereum Grayscale Trust should also break its resistance. And we are up in bullish territory there. But there's not a lot to say here that we wouldn't already say about Ethereum. It is nice to see that sort of positive price action, and we'll see if we get that bullish momentum coming out of Ethereum sometime soon. Woo. All right. So Nvidia, it's nice to see a little bit of price settling that we have taken place. We're still well above the 200. That's a really sharp 50-day that we have right there, spiking up. Analyst estimates on this one. It is running a little bit rich according to the analyst estimates that we see. So if this is the price that it's supposed to be in 12 months, it's already there. So for me, I think about it as if I was going to buy the security today, what am I expected to have a year from now? And this right now would be that I would expect to have the same thing. So basically, I wouldn't have gained anything. Plus, there's still that downside risk. And yes, there's upside potential. How many analysts? We got 46 analysts because they're huge. There we go. There you go. Nvidia, by the way, is, I mean, they are all over the place. I mean, like that ubiquitous that they're in all over the world with their products. There we go. So within the last month, 237, 218, 225, 235. All right. So upside, they're saying about 4% upside from its current price to the average analyst rating, which on here is $202. And they have 29 ratings, 28 buys, and 1 hold from there. And that's what I mean about washing out some of the upside. So this is just looking a year from now. It's not looking multiple years from now. To talk about this multiple years from now, I'd have to know more about the company to see how it's priced on a fundamental level, to see how much growth they have ahead of them. I believe that they've moved into the EV space and that they do some of that the graphics processing that it would take in order to power the machines. And we could be seeing some of that semiconductor shortage thing being limiting to them as well. So we'll have to watch how they play out. But talking about purchasing it right now for down the road, at least as far as 12 months goes, I would like to see it for myself. I would like to see it pull back a little bit more before I took up a position in Nvidia. But I believe that they're a company with great strength and that they have plenty of growth ahead of them. The question is, how much? When you look at the 200-day that we have here, it's acting as excellent support for the 200-day. And it kind of just dances right through the 50-day. Although here it might be acting as support. So we'll have to see if that gets tested or not, and maybe this plays out for us. All right, I see GNOG popped up. So GNOG has a lot of expansion ahead of itself. Right now, it just gets overshadowed because it is a smaller company, and I don't think that we're seeing that sort of strength coming out of Golden Nugget that it's definitely capable of. And you can see the sort of how well the 50-day that we have here is acting as resistance, and it's a matter of breaking through it. And while we were sitting at support right around that $11 mark, we've started lifting up off of that. So we'll see if it comes back down, or that we get a smaller line of resistance here right around that $12 mark, if it keeps bouncing between $11 and $12, or if it has enough momentum coming to it, because we are in the RSI, we're getting higher lows moving up. The highs are just about even, but this one peaks up above it. So if this can pull us back up into bullish territory, that put in a new high on the relative strength index, that we start gaining that strength, then we can start seeing signs where we might get that sort of breakout of there. We are trailing off in terms of volume. So we want, if we're going to really see some sort of reversal of the trend of this longer term downtrend that you see, it should happen with big volume. And so earnings might be one of those things for Q2 that tells us, that gives us that sort of catalyst to get that sort of volume. And that might signal that things will turn around for GNOG in the near term. The analyst estimates on this are still up in the 20s. No problem, Angelito. I don't know if I said that before or not, but I just noticed again that you thanked me. So I just want to make sure that I acknowledge you. So 110%. So doubled from where it's at, over doubled from where it's at, from 1187. So just below that $12 mark. And I would say that buying below 12 is an area for me that I think is very reasonable in order to get some good prices on Golden Nugget moving forward. And we have 3 analysts covering it, all saying to buy it. And I know that we looked at this yesterday, so I won't spend a lot of time with it. But I mean, there always are risks. So if you're looking for a 2x reward, that's a sizable reward in a year's time. So that means that there's also a sizable risk to go along with it. So just keep those in mind as I go through and I talk about these things, because I am bullish on GNOG. I talk a lot about the upside, but there's always that potential for downside as well. But it's in a growing industry. They themselves are growing. They're moving into other states. I think that they have action to get into 12 different states right now. They're in Michigan. They're in New Jersey, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. It's either Indiana or Illinois. Maybe it's both of them. Colorado. I think that they just that they're working on licensing from there, and a lot of these are expected to go through by end of year 2022. So we'll have to watch that build up through the end of 2021, where we might get another state or two, and then adding on several more throughout the following year in 2022. And so that sort of growth and market penetration that they have, those are things that can really influence the price, even though it's depressed price right now. They're still in really good shape overall for surviving. So downside risk, is it going to go to zero sometime soon? I don't think it's going to go to zero for us. I think that we have a decent line of support going here that could continue to hold for us as long as market conditions allow for it. The company conditions certainly allow for it. And then as they move into covering more broadly in the United States and getting more into the online gambling and sports betting, into those states. I think that'll be something like, by the U.S. Census, it's like 29% of the United States population they'll have access to, or that will have access to their services, and will be able to use their product by making it into those states. So having over 1/4 of the entire population being able to use it doesn't mean they all will, but that's a good sign for GNOG moving forward. All right. Check in with our old friend Palantir. So I have these lines drawn on here for Palantir. We'll zoom in a little bit. So currently sitting at about that bottom line of support that I have drawn. After that, the only thing left is that sell-off when it went down to $17 per share before it just rocketed up to 27, mid 27s, and then it settled back down right around that 22, 23. And seeing more companies and seeing that revenue fill out, I think, is going to be huge for Palantir moving forward. And I mentioned the headwind before about the heavy options compensation packages, we'll call it that, for the employees, that the employees over time just have access to cash in on those options and dilute the market shares that we have. So that can add on selling pressure and can keep the price depressed a little bit. And then that means that it takes lots more revenue in order to have the price action that we're looking for with Palantir. And if you look over here at the level 2, we have a lot of buy side pressure and a lot of sell side pressure, and they're very, very focused right around, let me see, where does this really build? 22.27 up to 22.41. So we're kind of squeezed in between those two prices right now. And even if we look here, yeah, we have a huge order coming in, a huge volume of orders, 22.29, and then over here, 22.39. So about 10 cents between the two of them that it can lean either way in the next, we'll say in the next few minutes or so. Nice little jump back up. I want to look at the daily chart again because I want to see the where we're sitting at. All right, so it looks like we found resistance before in the high 22s. And we're actually riding up above that line of support that I have down there with that bottom candle. It looks like high 21s. So from about 21.75 to like 22.70 or so, we're kind of stuck between those two. So we watch what direction we go in order for that to take place. Let me see. Take a look at some of the losers today. All right, as always, I aim to end at 10 o'clock, and it is 10:07. So I'm overtime, and I'm okay being overtime. If you guys have anything that you would like to mention in the comments, or any companies they want to look at in the comments, just let me know, and I'll go over it and I'll take a look at them. Otherwise, I'll just jump around and see what we have moving today. GBTC settling a little bit. ALPP. There we go. We'll drop by ALPP. So this one is exciting for its growth potential. We watched it go up over $9. It went almost up to $9.50 before we got the big sell-off. So then we get the big sell-off in tech and high growth, and it recently dropped below the 200-day. But now we're coming up. We almost tested it yesterday, but we sort of fell off of that. Waiting on that NASDAQ uplisting, which is going to cause a lot of buy-side pressure when we get that uplisting. So we just had a statement not too long ago from the CEO, I think it was, of Alpine Fortech, come out and say that they still are eligible for the uplisting. They're just waiting for word from NASDAQ that they actually were approved for the uplisting. So that's something that we want to watch out for. And as far as affecting their bottom line, I think it's a $25 million fee in order to be uplisted to the NASDAQ. It's just part of that rigor that the NASDAQ has, that not just any company can join it. They have to meet certain criteria. And there's also some alternative criteria that if you fail to meet the first set, there's a second set where you can, and that's where ALPP falls. So they fall into the second set of criteria because they don't trade for, I forget if it's a minimum of $4 per share or a minimum of $5 per share. I think it's $4. But if you trade below that, then it has to be between like $2 to $4 or something. And then there's other requirements that go along with it for how much cash they have to have. Maybe there's a revenue limit that's there as well. I'd have to go back and look at the details again for what it takes to be uplisted. I looked at it before for ALPP to make sure that they met the requirements, and I found out that they did, and their CEO says that they still do. So that's sort of something that we're waiting on. They are growing. They have a lot of contracts right now coming out of the government, and they are making that sort of positive progress. They did a lot of acquiring through 2020 into 2021, and it'd be nice to see some of that excitement come back. In the meantime, though, right around $2.50 is where we're finding a lot of support come in for ALPP, and that shouts back to let me see. So 420, 421, right around in there for April. It took us down below that, down to about $2.45. That low goes down to 241. So we have a decent area of support that seems to keep on holding for us, and we're down near those prices right now. And we'll see in the near term if we break up above that. I think the NASDAQ uplisting is going to be the next big catalyst that we see coming up for ALPP. And hopefully they find out soon. They filed, I think it was January the 15th, and it's supposed to take like 6 to 8 weeks. And well, let me see, January, July, it's been like 24-ish weeks, 23, 24 weeks since the uplisting, and or since they filed for the uplisting. And we still don't have results on that. So we're waiting for that. The RSI is building. So we have some momentum building, but we're still in bearish territory. The trend is still bearish, but the 200-day is positive. So that's one of the few bullish signs that we have going for that right now. And right now, there's not a lot of volume moving for us. We won't watch for big volume. And, we can also somewhat tie that together with big price action. And I think that those will come together, big volume and big price action to the upside as of that uplisting to the NASDAQ. Angelito wants to know from Matterport. Can you read Lake? Yeah. So I'll take Matterport and I'll take Lake as the last two of them, and then I got to wrap things up here. There we are. Nice. So we had, talking about big volume. Let's zoom out so we can see that. So this is all the way back from February. And I believe that this is when GHVI first started. Gore's Holdings 6. And then they announced their merger deal with Matterport, and it shot up there to almost 28. And that was on February 22nd. Okay. So right around before we had that sell-off. So then the sell-off happened, took us down below $11 per share. I was actually able to get some shares below 11. So that was nice. Sometimes I get the timing right, and that's really enjoyable. And then there's some other times I get the timing wrong. But yeah, so I was able to get a hold of some of those shares below $11. I have some others that I bought below 13. I don't know that I've ever paid above 13 for it. So we're in okay shape, but we had big volume yesterday, took us up above the 50-day. So excellent. So now that can act as support for us rather than resistance. We had resistance broken, or support broken back on the 14th of July. There you go. Strategic investment in SimLab. Excellent. Digitization tech company SimLab to accelerate building design, construction, management. Nice. Canaccord Genuity's annual growth conference. That was 3 days ago. I wonder when that presentation takes place. There you go. Sometimes, and it's not all the time, but sometimes when there's these presentations, we get some news that we didn't have before. So if this is something that you wanted to mark down on your calendars for the virtual presentation for Matterport, August the 12th at 2:30 p.m. Sometimes we get news out of there that can really move them. And you can also read about what they do for the digital twins that they make for the 3D scanning of spaces, and really watching them build out over time. They move for the Matterport scans. There's statistics about how it helped landlords rent out their properties sooner. I believe that there's news also about using them for insurance claims purposes. So being able to do the mapping at a pretty low entry cost and doing an entire building in just minutes time, where they can make the digital dollhouse models where it's 3D, you can rotate it, you can check out the dimensions on it, and having them really accurate and lifelike. and you can rotate 360 degrees from within a room or for the entire building. It's a really cool project with a lot of potential for it. So I really do like Matterport. We don't have any analyst estimates on it, at least there. We probably don't have any on tip ranks either, but it's just a little bit too new coming out of the SPAC merger that I had recently with GHVI. Yeah, so we don't have any data available yet as far as analyst estimates go. There we go. So we have good volume on good news. So we'll watch that take place. And it takes us about to the middle of where we had this price action recently. And where does that put us for today's price? Okay. The big thing to see right now is that we do get the 50-day as support. And we are trading above it. So that's a bullish sign. And that we have a positive slope, also bullish sign. And the RSI is up above 50. So we're into bullish territory momentum wise off that recent low. Just back on the 19th of July. So just 11 days ago, which is in 11 trading days, where we had that low point of $12.80. And now it's back up over 15. And I would say $15 is about right now for Matterport. And it'll be interesting to see the analyst estimates come out when these finally do start coming out and start rating Matterport for how they feel they're going to perform in the future. All right. Lake. All right, cyclical textiles. Let me see. Manufacturing cells, line of safety, garments and accessories for industrial public protective. Okay. So just reading by what they do in their summary, I mean, it should be, competition aside, it should be definitely useful stuff. And they did, wow, they've had quite a run recently. So back from the middle of June, we get a strong line of support right around 2106. And now they're, what's that, like 25-ish% up from where they were at. So trading almost $27 per share, making it up over the 200-day. So excellent. They broke that. So we had the death cross there. Golden cross would be, well, actually, golden cross side. Starting to see the 50 period starting to flatten out like this and starting just barely. There's a little tiny tail right here that's starting to curve upward. Great momentum on it, getting close to that overbought territory. This is one that if you didn't find before, and then you did your research on it, you did your reading on it, and you decided, this is a company that I would like to take a position in. For me, if I was the one doing all that and I saw that, I would wait for it to take a little bit of a rest, and maybe that would happen onto that 200-day. We'll see if that holds on to for support. In the meantime, let me see, what do we have? We're right up against resistance right now. That's another reason why if I was going to jump in, and I don't know anything about this company really. So this is just looking at the technicals from the chart. But if I was going to jump in to take a position, it's something that I would, depending on what I saw for the company, I'd probably wait, because I would think that off of resistance, you might fail to break this line of resistance here, and it might settle a little bit and rest for a little bit before continuing its run. But it does look like it's actually moving strong enough to reverse this downward trend that it had recently. And compared to the analysts, we only have 2 analyst estimates, but we are trading well below both of them, even at that elevated price of almost $27 per share. We have 35 is the bottom price that we have there. Let's see what we have in tip ranks. No problem, Angelito. No problem, John. Have a great weekend. All right, so Lakeland Industries. So 4 months ago, so we're due for some updates. It must be a smaller company for a number of reasons. One, that sell-off matches a lot of the other growth stocks that we saw. And if I take a quick look at the financials, yeah, their revenue. Let's go annual instead of quarterly. There we go. All right, wow. So they actually have a nice trend going on with the revenue here. So they were at 99 million revenue for the fiscal year in 2019, fiscal year ending January 31st of 2020, 107 million. And then they jumped up, wow, almost 50% to 159 million. Their revenue is going in the right direction. And looking at their diluted earnings per share, so that would include all the stocks that the employees of the company might hold. They went from 18 cents in 2019 to 41 cents to $4.31. So small company, but they got their numbers going in the right direction. So this is one that might merit a little bit further of a look and a little bit more of a read to find out if this price action is merited. And honestly, from the direction that I see, at least leading up to January, they got their ducks in a row. And if they can continue their growth, so it's going to be about their how they progress from that January 31st. Let's look at quarterly real quick. 45. Okay. So looking just quarterly, they have from there to there to there. It looks like maybe they trailed off a little bit quarterly, and that's why we saw a little bit of that weakness that we had. But the fact that it's starting to turn things back around, maybe things are looking up for them. Let me see. Lakeland Industries stocks just will continue to soar. Unusual options activities. All right. Order case $5 million buyback. Okay. So they had a back on 7/12. Woo. They were buying back some of their shares, $5 million worth. 12% decline in pandemic-related sales. Okay, so they were bolstered a little bit by the pandemic too. Yeah, so this was Will who was asking about this. So what I would want to know, Will, when I look at this, because annually, looking at their financials for their revenue, their earnings per share, everything was going well for them from 2019 fiscal year to 2020 to 2021. What I would want to know is, will it continue? Will they start to show us, or will they continue to show us that sort of growth going into 2022? Are they going to slow down? Have they already started slowing down? And that's where you can look at the quarterlies to see if they've already started that sort of slowdown. If they're going to continue that sort of strong growth, if that's the expectation, then we could continue to see strength coming out of them. And then those analyst estimates of, was it $35 and $40 per share? 35 and 45. Average analyst estimate of 40. That continued growth is expected from those analysts, and that's why they would give those higher price targets. And they came from 4 months ago. So July, then take us back to March. So that was before we got the news in April. So I would like to see either a reiteration or some sort of update that would be given from the analyst to know a little bit more about that. But you can also look at their investor relations report and see if they also expect the same growth, or if it's going to be slower growth, or if it's not going to grow at all. That would tell you a lot more about how they're going to progress from here. All right, so let me just take one more look over things and see how our gainers are doing. Woo, helps if I actually click the right one. Ooh, Lee is up almost 11% today. All right, I'm going to wrap it up with Lee Motors. If they decide to be top dog out of this list that I have right here, they're having a great day. It did take us right up to this last peak that we had here. And right now they're trading at almost $34 per share. Lee Auto stock well positioned to higher highs. Analyst estimates on this one is trading just a little bit rich compared to the analyst estimates that we have here. We have 18 analysts covering it. All right, so the average 45.90, so a 35% upside from where they currently trade. And let me see. Most recent analyst estimate I have is 26 days ago, 2 months. So we have a lot of coverage, but we don't have a lot of updated coverage on Lee. So this is only going from the last 5 ratings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So only including stuff up to 2 months ago when they report on this average price target that they have here, 45.90. Wonderful. So if you look also across the top, we have Xpeng at the top, NEO at the top, and it looks like Lucid's also doing well. So we actually have things turning around pretty well for the Chinese EVs. There we go. Back up into the 40s for Xpeng. And NEO Still struggling to hit that $45 mark. And look at that orange line right there at the 200-day. That is resistance, and it's resistance for a reason. So we'll see if it has enough momentum, enough oomph left in to really push up above that significantly. A close above that 200-day would be excellent. As a matter of fact, the full body of the candle above it would be excellent, that we could see a little bit more of support. But closing above it is a good start. We'll see if we fall off tomorrow, that we start to settle a little bit, or if that's going to continue. All right. Well, ladies, gentlemen, you're welcome, Will. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap things up for the day. Like I said, I always aim for 10 o'clock. So anything after 10 is all bonus material, we'll call it. I really appreciate you being here. And it's always a lot of fun. And keep the comments going. And, tell your friends, hit the like button if you would, please. I'd highly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys. Oh, man, it is Friday. I'll see you guys on Monday in August. Have a great day.